set, go. Three guys, one mic, a lot of heavy. Oh yeah.
Hello, I'm Jeff Crenshaw.
And I'm Ben Eastman.
And you're listening to Heavy, Set, Go. Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
Why do we always let the go linger?
Gotta have fun at some point during the podcast.
That's true.
And it's never a guarantee that'll happen.
And it's all downhill from here.
Sometimes, not always.
That's the limit of our fun.
No more fun. Now we go into this,
no more fun. Now all seriousness all the time. Hey, you said there was a story that you've been wanting to tell me for like weeks. At one time you were going to tell me late at night and you woke me up in the middle of my princess slumber and I was so pissed. I don't remember what happened, but I was just really tired that night.
You were pissed at me. It was like 10, 12 in the evening and you're usually up until 1 and oh cool, Ben will still be up. I call you through for the Facebook app and then I try calling you on the phone. Because the story I was going to tell just happened. And it's not like the story's hugely funny. It's just a really weird thing that happened. It's like something off of an episode of Louis. It's kind of how I think of it.
Wait, you were running around town, needing to go to the bathroom, and you couldn't find a place to go to the bathroom because you only want to go to the bathroom at your house?
It's not something that did happen on Louis.
Oh, okay.
It's something that would happen on Louis.
Okay. Well,
maybe. I don't know.
Do tell.
There's no...
Louis C.K. is one of our avid listeners.
Well, there's no.
He wants to know.
There was no like payoff to the joke. It was like a setup to a Louis joke, but a payoff never came.
Oh.
That's kind of how I would describe it. And now I've set it up to be way more intriguing than it actually was. It was just maybe I shouldn't have invoked the holy red-haired.
Let's go for it. Let's dive in.
But it's one evening. What was that for?
He said one evening. One dark evening. All right, go ahead.
Calm down.
All right, I am calm.
I'm calmer than you are.
Dude.
One evening, I took our dog, that's this little white and orange number Mom picked up from some animal rescue. And half Dachshund, half... doesn't matter. Jack Russell.
Did you say white-orange number?
Yeah, a little white and orange number.
Okay.
Oregon Animal Rescue, I believe that counts as adopting, not shopping. Some people really get on a high horse about that. So, yes, adopt, don't shop, because pet stores torture dogs or something, I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe I'll bring someone on who's not a total animal rights psycho. But, hey, you set me off on this tangent, so don't wave your hands like I should continue the story. Anyway, took the dog for a walk, and I was going up to this park area, and I ran into the corner into this little grassland that's in the middle of our neighborhood, and minding my own business. There were a couple of little kids running around, and generally I just ignore them. And I was just walking the dog, and I heard the voice of an older person. I couldn't tell if it was an adult woman or like someone in a girl in their teens. I suspect by what they said, it was a girl in their teens, and she starts yelling, "Hey Hector, Vanessa, that man could rape you!" And I look around, and I'm the only man. I'm the only man in the grassland, and I'm thinking, oh Christ! And she kept saying it. "That man's gonna rape you, Hector and Vanessa. You gotta come over to here so the man doesn't rape you." And I'm just, it's one of those situations where I'm thinking, do I acknowledge what's going on? Like, do I say,
yes, it's me, the raper.
no, I'm not a rapist. Or
Yeah.
what? But, yeah, I don't know how to proceed.
That's not one of those words you could just throw out and deny. Either way you do it, you're gonna catch the wrong attention.
Exactly.
I am not a rapist.
The only thing I could do was not say anything, but it was such a horrible, awkward experience. This girl, these kids were like, I don't know, like 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there, and this girl's like, this older teen who should have known better, or possibly a woman. I hope to God it wasn't a full-grown person. Although these days I wonder. But, and she didn't even keep it to that. Like, I was there for several minutes. Like, oh, okay, goddammit, Rusty, just go, because I want to leave. I'm severely uncomfortable. And she kept going, that man's gonna rape you! You gotta run away, Hector and Vanessa! He could rape you! That man could rape you! And I'm just wondering, what the hell am I supposed to do? Mercifully, the dog finally did his business, and we left the park. And the entire time, as I was walking away, that man could have raped you. And I left, and ever since then, I'm wondering, should I have done something differently? Should I have responded? It was referred to as a possible rapist in a public park. It was not one of my most comfortable moments.
I think there was a detail I may have missed. Was she saying it to kids?
She was saying it to kids.
And you saw the kids?
I didn't look directly at them, but I saw them running around.
Oh, okay. See, now, I
out of the corner of my
thought
eyes.
it was just this lady saying it, and I thought you said you're the only one in the grassy area, but at the end of it, the kids were running around or something?
I was the only man.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought, is she talking about some other dude who's just being a sketch individual? And no, I look around. One of the kids is male. Hector is male. I was the only man.
Jeez.
Full-grown man there, and this. That man's gonna rape you. That man could rape you. It alternated between that man's gonna rape you and that man could rape you. And it was...
That's some heavy shit.
It is heavy shit. I didn't know whether to laugh or be pissed off, or I'm like, wow, I don't know what to say at this moment.
Well, I mean...
what would you have done?
Well, honestly, I do not know how I would have reacted.
That's what I was.
I mean, have you seen yourself? I'm kidding.
Wow.
That's fucked. That's fucked. I was just kidding. But no, that is a weird pickle, if you will, to be in. And that kind of reminds me of...
One more thing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, as I was walking away from that incident... No, I'll let you get back. I'm sorry. As I was walking away from the incident is when I started calling you. And you're like, nah, I need my sleep. So I think...
You're like, but Ben, I'm not a rapist. If you would have said that, I would have been like, what the I probably would have woken up.
I did. The plumbing in this house is acting odd. I don't know if the mics picked that up.
Dude, like 20 minutes ago, it was like, and now it sounds like someone scratching in the plumbing. Okay. Anyways, what I was gonna say, speaking of just weird ass stories in your neighborhood, I remember one time. Shoot, now I don't know if I even told this on a podcast, but one time, back when I was living at my parents' place, I had to go get something for my car. And it was probably 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. I mean, that was back when I was just staying up really fucking late. And it was obviously dark out there. And we have had a history of kind of a schizophrenic person who walks the neighborhood.
Oh yes, I know that individual.
And he'll just walk the neighborhood and be yelling, at himself, but as if there was another person with him, when there's clearly not.
I called the cops on him a couple times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people did it. He was very, and not just like talking to like another person as if they were there, but like yelling and like talking. It's like saying things that like, oh, okay, like might be dangerous. The weird thing is that he would be like chopping wood. He would be like chopping like a shit ton of wood with an axe in his driveway. Like, I'm sorry, like that just doesn't seem safe. Especially in a neighborhood where we were living at the time. There were a lot of kids as well, too. But anyways, I put that in there. He has nothing to do with this story, but I lay the groundwork for the type of neighborhood that I was living in. And in fact, I have another story maybe I'll tell later if I haven't told that already, too. But so, it's late at night. There's no street light on my corner, so right down where my car was near those trees is pretty dark at night. So I was walking out to my car to grab something, don't know what it was, and grabbing it, and as I lifted up, I thought I heard kind of like a shuffle nearby, as if someone was, like walking on the concrete or something.
Oh.
And I kind of like looked up, and I looked around, and I didn't see anything. I was like, and it was kind of creeping me out because it's pretty dark. I didn't have the porch light on. It was just dark outside, and it was quiet. It was just that time of night where it was just a little creepy. No one was out, and I was out there. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is weird. So I kind of got the willies. So I shut the door, and I turn around, and I go to walk back up. And behind me, I shit you not, I hear a blood-curdling scream like I've never heard before. Literally shrills down my spine. Like automatic goosebumps. Loudest scream I've ever heard. And I was like, oh my god, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And I started running, and I turned around, there was no one behind me. And I don't know where I heard it. It wasn't in my fucking mind. It was legit. And I don't know if it was someone playing a trick on me and they were just nearby and hidden or something. But I was scared shitless. And I remember like Scooby-Dooing it back up into my parents' lawn, into the house. Like my feet were running, but I was moving nowhere. And I fell, like biffed it hardcore on the ground, like skinned my knee really hard. And then the scream happened again as I was pretty much on all fours trying to walk to the door to get the fuck out of the front lawn. And then I got into the door, and I turned around right before to shut the door and do the deadbolt, the little chain lock, as if that little chain lock doesn't fucking help anything. I could open the door hardcore, yeah, and do that. But I still put it on anyways.
Yeah.
But I didn't see anyone as I went back in there. And that's literally the story.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, I'm not fucking around. That legitimately happened, not in my head. And to this day, I still don't know what that is. And I think about that every now and then when it's really dark outside. Recently, something had happened, or I watched a scary movie or something. And I went out and it was dark outside. And I thought of that exact moment. And it still scared me.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck?
Moments like that, I've had moments like that as well. I can't think of anything specifically, but I know that I remember the feeling that something like that would bring about.
One of the few moments in my life I've experienced pure terror.
Yeah.
And I have no explanation for it. I did say earlier there was another story that kind of sets up weird shit in my neighborhood when I was living with my parents. And I'll tell this one rather quickly. I may have told this on a podcast too.
I don't know.
We've had so many episodes. I'm sure.
We're nearing 40.
Yeah, I'm sure like a whole bunch of our listeners, like all 400 of them, are probably like, wow, they told that story in episode 3. Not really. But there was one time I was going to go meet a girl at the park that was next to my house. And I'm sure, Jeff, you've heard this story a few times.
Hopscotch?
No, it wasn't for hopscotch. It was for... No,
tetherball.
I was gonna say find the flashlight, but I don't know. That's all I could come up with. But we were gonna go meet at the park, right? And it was late at night, and I was gonna meet at the park, secure a spot, and she was gonna come later. She was gonna be on her way. So I went to the park.
And this is the one that was in the neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
right?
the one that was in the neighborhood. We
Right.
filmed there many a time.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know the park layout like the back of my hand.
Me too.
And it kind of it's flat for a while, and then it kind of dips down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like there was a few picnic tables, and there was that creek, and then the big woods. So I figured I'd go to where it was dipping down just a little bit. We were probably just gonna make out or something. I don't know, but that's what we were just gonna go do at the park because it was safe. No one would find out, right? So I go there, and I'm waiting for her, and I see this like SUV pull up at the side of the road, up at the top of the park, and the SUV pulls up. And it's pitch black. It's probably midnight. Maybe, it could be 1 o'clock. And I'm looking up at the SUV, and a whole bunch of people get out of the SUV. Probably like 4 guys. And then there's another guy that they're kind of holding, and they throw him down on the ground. And I'm like, oh shit, this is a movie. Like, what the fuck's going on here? And they start kicking the guy. And that's why I remember thinking, holy shit, are they going to kill this guy? Are they like gonna like fucking kill him and then get rid of his body in the park or something? And I'm like, what the hell do I do? And it's funny when you start to tell these stories, you start to realize that you didn't do the right thing. So I'm a fucking asshole. But I was so scared for my life, and I texted the girls like, don't come here, stay at home. And I remember thinking, well, that park is kind of unique in that there's literally one way in and one way out.
Yeah.
It's a park that has an entrance that's also its exit. It kind of...
It's wedged into a corner next to a stream, and on the other side of that stream, there's residential
houses.
areas.
Yeah, and not like entryways to houses, like fences to the backs of houses. So,
yeah. So you're pretty much stuck once you enter that property unless you come out.
And the reason why it was kind of fight or flight method for me is because I was like, fuck, like, I don't want to hide here and then have them find me. I was just thinking worst case scenario.
Mm.
Like, why would they beat someone right in front of this just crazy, like, kind of small park? Like, I just, in my head, I knew that they were going to do something and then go into the park. So, like an idiot, I decided, well, I could have just hid in the woods if I wanted to. Or, gone back around. Because behind the woods, you could actually go to the houses around. But I thought, okay, I'm going to exit the park. So
you walk out right in front of them.
Yeah, so they were on the other side of the entrance. So and you know the layout better than the people that listen to this.
It's about like a 100 broad foot area where you can easily see everything at the entrance of the park, and they're on one side of the entrance.
So, yeah, they were on the way side of the entrance, so I thought I'm going to go back all the way around and just go onto the way further side of that entrance exit and just kind of quietly, like, don't look at them, don't make eye contact, just kind of walk out and go. Now, that further part of the entrance is also furthest away from my house, so I knew that I would have to walk all the way around the other neighborhood to get to my house, or run. And so I was like, all right, I gotta do this. I gotta get the hell out of here. I was so scared, and I did it, and I could have sworn I heard someone say, "Go get him." But that was probably in my head, like, get him or something like that. But I started running. And I have never run like that before in my entire life. Like, I did not look back. I just ran and ran and ran till I got frickin' home. And by the time I looped all the way around to where I could even see them, where the car was, I wasn't there anymore. And I drove all the way around, ran to the house, locked the door, and was like, and that's the kind of the end of it.
Oh, wow.
And I realized then I probably should have called the cops. I don't know why I didn't do that.
Like, when did you realize it?
I don't know, probably days later. I was so scared of the whole situation that it didn't even, like, occur to me to do that. I was, just running for my life, like I didn't want to get hurt or something. And I realized now that's kind of been on my conscience for years, like, the fact that maybe someone could have died, and I could have possibly saved them. And that's really fucked up. Wow, damn, this is some heavy ass shit.
They certainly got the shit beaten out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened if they were, just doing that and, and going to leave them there. Or, I don't exactly see. I was far away from it, but I saw it happening. And like I said, I don't know if they actually ran after me or not.
When was this? Year was?
Probably freshman or sophomore year.
It's like 2006, 2007?
Maybe even middle school.
Oh, wow.
Like 8th grade. It had to be 8th, 9th, or 10th grade. It had to be right around there. So I was pretty young yet, but yeah. That's something that I always think about too.
It's
that's trying to bring the mood down, bring the mood down. But that was that's something that I think about pretty often, actually.
Reminds me of a story, and this was like this. It was summertime, either between 7th and 8th grade or 8th and 9th grade. And I remember it because I was out bicycling around with my friend Joe King, and unfortunately, memories with him are kind of locked into a specific time because he died freshman year. I could talk about that more in detail later, but that was sad. But I was out with Joe. I was riding a bike. I don't remember if he was or if he was walking as I was riding around. Sometimes I just ride my bike and he'd hop on, occasionally take turns, whatever. We were right next to that park, and I remember all that day. Somehow the kickstand had come loose from my bike, and I kept trying to reattach it, and I'd ride a little bit, and the kickstand would fall off again, hit the concrete with that ching, that sound, and Joe thought it was funny. It just annoyed the shit out of me. Like every few seconds, the kickstand came off, and I was riding the bike, or we were riding our bikes. That part's kind of fuzzy, and we were together. And suddenly some other kid from the way the neighborhood I lived in was like it was split right down the center. Ben lived in the neighborhood too. We both lived in the same neighborhood, though I didn't really know him then. It was split right down the center. Our side was the Hillsboro School District, and on the other side of the neighborhood was the Beaverton School District. And some jerk who lived on the Beaverton School District side of the neighborhood was riding around, and he pulled his bike right. He cut off Joe's and my path, our path that we were just going. He's like, what? And he started talking tough. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" This at the time it was really intimidating. Although he's like probably like a 13, 14-year-old kid with, yeah. And he had a brick in his hands. Like,
oh, Jesus.
He was carrying a brick, and Joe was just standing back, like watching this unfold. And he's like, I'm gonna beat the fucking shit out of you. And Joe's like back there, and I could tell he was trying not to laugh. And I'm just, I'm freaked out. And he's like, we get into some sort of exchange. Words are said. I probably said something something cheeky to him to prove that he didn't intimidate me or something. I don't remember the exact conversation. It's like, all right, you want to fucking fight? And he raises the brick above his head in a gesture like he wants to start a fight with me. He's going to beat me with it. And I raise the only thing I have to defend myself. My kickstand. And we stand there. in the most ridiculous detente ever in history. Like he like the guy's looking at me. Are you fucking kidding me? He raises the bracket. I'm gonna fucking, and I raise the kickstand again, and Joe's just laughing.
Bricks versus kickstands.
Yeah, Joe's just laughing his head off, and eventually, after a few minutes, he got tired of it, and he just rushed the guy. He didn't have a kickstand or a brick. He rushed at the guy, and he yelled at him, and the guy just pedaled off as fast as he could, and he turned around, and he was laughing hysterically.
Yeah, Joe's not the type of guy that I mean, he is. He's a person that if he did that to me, I would probably run the fuck away too. Joe was a guy that I would have never have messed with.
He was a big guy. He was a great friend to have.
Strong personality, but he was someone that I was always kind of afraid of growing up.
He was, and I love the guy dearly, but I could see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
He was a tough guy in some respects. I remember we used to walk home from school, and just for the hell of it, I never approved of this, by the way, and I never partook, but for the hell of it, like, as we were walking home from, like, Brown Middle School, every time we passed a mailbox, he'd take his fist, and he bashed the top of it so there'd be, like, a small indentation, and I why are you doing that, Joe? And he just laughed. It's fun.
You know, this podcast is turning out great because I admit that I didn't call the cops when I should have, and you're admitting that Joe committed a felony by damaging a mailbox.
It's
actually, I don't know if that's a felony or not, but
I don't know.
My mom.
If he read the mail, it would be.
Every time someone ruins a mailbox in like a movie that I'm watching with my mom. Not that happens often. Like, how many different movies show people ruining a mailbox?
Stand By Me, Mailbox Baseball.
Yeah, exactly. It's usually a scene with Mailbox Baseball, which I can think of two movies: Stand By Me and Benchwarmers, which is sad that.
Benchwarmers?
Think of Benchwarmers.
Which one do you like better? Which is the better movie?
Benchwarmers. The one where they make all the fart and shit jokes.
Or the really nice one with the sentimental story about childhood.
Obesity and barfing up berry pie.
The
castor oil. Anyways.
Did he have to pay to get in the contest, or did they just let him in?
God, I love that movie, dude.
Me too.
But
people that haven't seen it are not going to follow what we're...
Yeah, if they've seen it, they'll know every single thing we're saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyways, watch Stand By Me.
What about Benchwarmers? I've never seen that. Should I watch Benchwarmers?
Honestly, I kind of enjoy it. It's pretty bad, but I always get a little sentimental when I watch a baseball movie.
Uh-huh.
I get sentimental of a lot of things. You know me. I'm like the most sentimental. Oh, nostalgia. Oh, look at my goosebumpies.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, listen to this. This is Neil Diamond. Look at my arm. Goosebumps. But, sorry, when I hear Sweet Caroline or Holly Holy.
When I see like one of those Facebook flashbacks, one of those Facebook flashbacks on my computer that slightly reminds me of a good time, I'll share it and I'll talk about it. Like the picture of us at the grad party with the Oscar cutout that I shared today.
Wow. How many years ago was the graduation? 3?
It was 3 years ago.
Wow.
So that's not even that long ago, but I'm like, oh, remember the good times?
I graduated 3 years ago.
From college.
Wow. Mama, I'm going to make it in Hollywood.
Hey, just got to keep trying.
Hey. Got to keep on chugling. Is that a word? Chugling?
Chugling?
There's a song from John Fogerty called Keep on Chugling.
There is?
Or maybe it's CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
I was assuming it was like Keep on Trucking. Keep
on Chugling. It's a song. Look it up.
What does chugling mean?
I don't know, but I just assumed it's a different way of saying like chuggling or I forget. I thought CHOOGLIN. Chugling.
Chugling.
Now I want to look it up because I'm not sure. But what were we talking about? Stand By Me. Great movie.
Yes.
Remember when we went to Brownsville?
Of course I do. I want to go back.
Yeah, that was so cool. You can. They filmed it in Brownsville, Oregon, which is about, I think, 45 minutes outside Eugene.
It's a hell of a long way from here. I know that much.
Yeah, I mean it's a good few hour drive from here, almost 3 probably. It's a little small town, and what's great though is that the town obviously is really proud that they chose to film there.
Oh yeah.
And they have different. They have a whole like thing that you could pick up at their little like art museum that they have, or a historical museum, where it has a whole bunch of different locations that you can go to, like a little map, and you can walk around the whole town and be like, hey, this is where they shot this scene, this scene, this scene, and they even have a makeshift penny in the walkway.
It's laid into the cement from the end of the movie where Vern picks it up. Found a penny!
Yeah. And it's pretty cool. I mean, for fans of the movie. I mean, Jeff, we've probably seen that movie more than probably any other movie that we've seen with each other, actually.
We've seen it twice in theaters.
I know we've seen it twice. Has it been twice or 3 times?
I remember twice, but
okay,
it could
I know
have been 3.
for sure twice.
Once with my dad at the Elsinore.
Which was amazing.
It was amazing.
And then once with you and I at Academy.
I think it was Academy.
And we've seen it. I think we've seen it at least twice, not in theaters too.
Could be. I kind of want to watch it tonight.
I love that movie.
Me too.
I love movies like that. That's the kind of fun thing, like movies that are like nostalgic but have like a group of kids. That I mean, who doesn't think those movies are funny? That's why movies like Stand By Me and The Goonies and
Sandlot.
E.T. and Sandlot are so popular years later.
And Super 8, I don't think that got its due.
It really didn't, and I'm not exactly sure why, because Super 8's a pretty fun movie.
Yeah.
I think maybe one that down the road will be appreciated a bit more.
Oh yeah.
Than right now. But I
love that movie.
And as of really recently, I mean, this has blown up. Now, I liked the first season quite a bit. I don't think it was like particularly the best thing I've ever seen. But Stranger Things.
I never finished that.
Stranger Things is really fun, but I think that the best part about it, which everyone can agree, is the kids.
Yeah. I don't like... I don't want to attack the dude. For some reason, the kid in the baseball hat, I don't... He bugs me for some reason.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I like the other kids. Maybe if I watched it again,
yeah.
I like him. Sometimes I'll watch something and I'll not like someone. Ben Affleck used to bug me until I saw Chasing Amy. And then suddenly I become an Affleck fan. I'm like the biggest Ben Affleck supporter.
Affleck's career is a very interesting one, and it'll be one that they talk about years from now.
He has his up and downs.
Because I remember, let's talk about Ben Affleck for a
minute.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Because Affleck, not Affleck. I just said Affleck.
Affleck, whatever.
Affleck. Ben Affleck. Career pretty much started with writing Good Will Hunting and winning the Oscar for screenplay, which is huge.
He was around before that, though.
He acted a little bit, but I think like that was his first big break.
He was in. He was the paddler in Dazed and Confused. Hey, freshman!
Oh God, yeah.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Before, yeah,
and
that was great.
It was in Chasing Amy. It came out like right around the same time. It was filmed before Good Will Hunting, I think, and it came out right around the same time. But yes, Good Will Hunting was really when it exploded.
His first really big break, and which is crazy because he ended up being kind of a heartthrob actor, but his first big break was writing, that's awesome. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he was in a lot of movies for a while, and not for particularly good movies, but I remember being Daredevil being a pretty big movie when it came out. It wasn't very good, but I'm trying to think of a few other. Reindeer Games was another one. Obviously, Jersey Girl.
I always thought Jersey Girl was unfairly.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty cute movie.
I really like it, except for that one scene where he's changing the diaper and that shows her.
That's a little gratuitous.
Privates.
That's a little gratuitous.
I don't like it. It's like come on, Kevin.
Let's hide the baby private parts.
Yeah.
But
everything else I loved about that movie, though.
Yeah, but I remember he was a pretty big star, and then Geely happened, which Geely for its time was considered one of the biggest flop bad movies. Now I've never seen it, but I remember when it came out and it being a big deal how bad it was. and that kind of being the bubble that burst his career at that time for Ben Affleck.
And Jersey Girl came out like right after Julie, and it didn't help either.
Oh, Pearl Harbor was another really big movie that he was in as well. Oh, and Armageddon. So those were two huge movies that he was like the main character in.
Yeah.
But then Geely happened, I think 2002, 2003, right around there.
Yeah.
And it was like, he was like blacklisted after that. Same with even like Jennifer Lopez, who I believe was in it. They were dating at the time. And
I think Lopez is still feeling that pain. I haven't seen her in anything.
She's in that TV show with Ray Liotta, which doesn't look very good, but I guess people are watching it.
And Affleck made Argo.
Well, and that's like the crazy thing. Like started out as a writer, then became this like Hollywood heartthrob, then completely crashed with Geely, and then came back. I mean, I know he was in a few movies in between then, but like really came back with. Well, he actually started slowly because Gone Baby Gone is the one that he directed, which is a great movie.
I've never seen that one. I've always wanted to.
You should definitely see it. But that flew a little under the radar. But a lot of people knew it was good. And then from Gone Baby Gone, he did The Town, which I know that you weren't too fond of. I loved it.
I need to see it again, but at the time I thought it was just boring.
It was a big hit for him. Not like huge like Argo, but that was just kind of like he was slowly like gaining back credential as a director. And then Argo came out, and of course, that won some Oscars, and that kind of put him back on the map.
I loved Argo.
As far as a director. And the funny thing is,
he's getting hit again by the Batfleck.
Exactly.
And which is kind of unfair because he's like one of the best parts of that movie.
Like, and it's funny because like that Argo he went back up and everyone's like, yeah, look at Ben Affleck. And it was huge. I mean, he was all over the place when that movie came out. Like, good. And then
another superhero movie's fucking up his career.
Batman vs. Superman was terrible. And I'll say this. I don't think he did a bad job as Batman. No. But I don't think he did a particularly great job. Like it was like, okay.
Honestly, you're probably right, but in a field of shit, you notice something it may not be a diamond, but it sparkles, and you notice it.
And that, for me,
Gal Gadot
was Gal Gadot being Wonder
she's
Woman.
The diamond.
And which, obviously, we know Wonder Woman fucking kicks ass, so.
She's the diamond, but Affleck, I still thought was a relatively shiny rock in what was otherwise a pile of shit.
Horrible movie. And then he came out with his next movie.
Yeah.
Which was Live by Night, which got horrible reviews. And completely bombed at the box office. And so it's just kind of funny. I just find his career really interesting because he can make the rightest of right moves and then go off the complete deep end. He's got really high highs and really low lows, it seems like.
Well, he's not gone forever. He's going to do something good again.
Oh, I'm sure. He definitely has the talent, I think.
He recently threw away directorial duties for Batman.
Yeah, which it's, and
which I can understand.
I remember being that. I mean, and Batman vs. Superman, though critics hate it, and justifiably so, because I don't like it, a lot of comic book fans actually really love it.
Zach Shannon loves it for some reason.
I have no clue why.
Neither do I.
The movie's brainless, but like,
brainless
he was
and
going
heartless.
to direct the next movie, and the movie made a shit ton of money. So it's definitely one that obviously they're going to make sequels to, or make additional films. But the fact that clearly something wasn't working right, and he didn't want to direct it.
Batman, you said Batman vs. Superman is brainless, and that's true, but it's also heartless. There's nothing, like there's a few things that, like the Wonder Woman theme that starts playing when she fights, yeah. But for the most part, it's brainless and heartless, and Henry Cavill's like the worst Superman I've ever seen. Like the worst performance of Superman
See, and I don't think he's that bad, but
Ugh.
I'm just not in on Zack Snyder's vision for DC right now.
But
it's too cold.
What made like the Donner Superman movies work, at least the first two, although the second one was taken away from Donner, but I call it a Donner one.
There's a Donner cut for number 2 out there.
I've never seen it, but the Superman 2 is one of my favorite superhero movies. Zod in that movie makes kneel before Zod. He makes it for me.
Yeah.
But those didn't necessarily have a brain, but they had a heart. That everyone in the film gave 100%. Things didn't operate the way they operate in the real world, but they made sense for the world that they took place in. And I can't say the same thing about Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman. The scene, I haven't seen the entire Man of Steel. I've seen part of it, but the scene that I always think of when I think of how stupid that movie is, and I'm sure you know what I'm going to say. It's the scene where the tornado's coming, and Kevin Costner is just standing there, holding his hand up at his son. Don't save me. On one hand, I get he doesn't want him to reveal himself as this superhuman creature in front of a bunch of people, but at the same time, Costner doesn't even make a run for it. He's just holding out this hand as a tornado. I found the scene on YouTube because I was in a debate with Zach Shannon recently about it, and I wanted to count how long Kevin Costner stands in the same spot doing absolutely nothing as a tornado is coming towards him. He stands there, I'm not kidding, for 18 seconds. And I didn't count fast. It was 1, 2, 3. It was that pace of counting. And he's just standing there with his back towards the tornado with his hand up. And I'm thinking, this is supposed to make us feel inspired because the old man has a martyr complex. This is the dramatic equivalent of that scene in Austin Powers where they break into the Dr. Evil's headquarters and they're driving a steamroller at the guard, and it takes a minute for them to get to the guard, but the guard is standing there in front of the steamroller holding his hand out. No! and he does that for a full minute. That's basically what happens to Pa Kent in Man of Steel, and you're supposed to be touched by this moment. And, he gets sucked up into the tornado. He's like, "Daddy, no!" But one, you can't disobey your father to save him from a cyclone. You deserve to lose your dad since you had the ability to stop it and you did nothing. And two, the father isn't motivated by love for his son. Clearly, he's motivated by a martyr complex, and he wants to his life to have some sort of grand purpose, which is why he refuses to live when he has every opportunity to. All right.
Wow. I just thought the movie was a shit movie, but
it is.
I remember seeing that at a packed theater. I think we went on a Tuesday, which is horrible. Never see a big blockbuster movie like a week that it's released on the Tuesday.
On $5 Tuesday, where everyone's coming up for a savings.
We were in the front fucking row, all the way on the right side. I literally was like this watching the movie, and I remember it being so painful. But I remember, like, even the group that I had gone with, who were primed for that type of movie. Yeah, Superman, superhero. Even they thought it was pretty lame.
Really?
But I haven't seen it since then. I'm curious to watch it, but I don't know if I really want to give 2 hours of my time to it again.
I maybe saw like not even an hour of it, and the part I saw was a hard sit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm just not down for Zack Snyder's vision on that stuff. Not that I really care what his vision is. Honestly, superhero movies have been kind of mediocre as of late. Obviously, there's a few ones that I actually really do enjoy. Marvel, I think, needs to start ejecting a more auteuristic approach to their film, and that could sound pretentious if you wanted to sound that way, but really I think I think that's what's missing from that is
letting each director do their own thing. That's basically all you're saying.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like,
as opposed to like these cookie cutter, everything has to look the same. Everything has to be the same.
Exactly, and I think and don't get me wrong, there are films that clearly are fit within that cookie cutter program that I still enjoy. Ant-Man being one of them.
I like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy both of them. The sequel I love too. But they look rather, similar to the other films. Although Guardians of the Galaxy seems like it's really, really close to how the writer director James Gunn wants it to be, and I can kind of tell that he's got his own kind of vibe with those movies, and and maybe that alone is making them a little more open. Because I've also seen Doctor Strange too, which is pretty damn fun, and stylistically, it's fucking nuts.
Oh, I never saw that. That was good?
Yeah, it is good.
I would like to see that again. John Landis, basically said something recently about the Marvel series. I was like, oh boy, we get to watch a city get destroyed again.
Yeah.
And you basically see the same thing again and again.
Very true.
And it's the only mix-up in the Marvel series is suddenly Tony Stark doesn't want to save people from bad guys. He thinks the government should pull the trigger on that as opposed to them if they see something they react like, no, we need a bureaucracy, otherwise we might go too far, which doesn't make sense. But
and I like the Iron Man series. Okay, I really like the third one. Shane Black did it, and it was really fucking funny.
I need to see that again. I remember, I never saw the first. I hated the second. I remember, having a debate with you, oh, that was pretty good, Jeff. Like, no, it wasn't. Like, there's a scene where he pisses his Iron Man suit, and he spends most of the movie drunk, and then he kind of stumbles into the climax. And I guess that was autobiographical in terms of Robert Downey Jr. But no, and I don't mean that to. I think Robert Downey Jr. is one of the more inspiring. I don't want to knock him at all because he went through a few years of hell, and I think it's amazing, absolutely amazing how he was a star. He went to prison for a few years. He got out. By all reason, he should have been poison for people to hire, but somehow he's now, I think. He was a couple years ago the highest earning actor in Hollywood. And I think if you want to look for someone for inspiration on how to overcome your mistakes and win at life, Robert Downey Jr. is the top. But the second movie still sucks. Yeah.
Definitely. And honestly, even the first one, there were some fun parts about it, but it's not one. You watch it, and it's one that really falls into that kind of generic factor pretty quick. But it was kind of one of the first ones of that Marvel universe.
It was the first one.
Yeah.
It was Iron Man, and everything else is kind of.
Yeah.
But the only I want to see it only because I'm a huge fan of Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, and he's pretty fun in it.
Yeah.
But we'll bring it. We'll kind of reel it back here to a movie that I think we both absolutely love, and this is what it comes down to: superhero movies. No problem, superhero movies, great. I mean. Who doesn't kind of love a superhero? But there's a lot of them. And so my real only point here is that I'd like a more kind of stylistic approach. And it seems like they're headed that direction. Ryan Coogler's got his Black Panther movie that's coming out. Saw a trailer, I felt tepid on it. But as far as what that is, which I know nothing about the whole world of Black Panther, it seems like as far as their direction, they're heading into a more unique approach, which I think has been the downfall there. But we'll talk about a movie that I know we agree on, and this is where the point is. Spider-Man 2, I think still to this day, and yes, I like The Dark Knight, and I like Batman Begins. Somehow people think I'm crazy when I don't say that's the best superhero movie of all time. But I still think Spider-Man 2, I think, is the best superhero movie of all time.
I don't know if I go that far, but I love it.
Close to Captain America, the first one, because I love that one. But Spider-Man 2, the scene that I always think about when I see that movie, which is the scene that would not be possible with any other director, which you wouldn't see in any PG-13, Marvel movie that's coming out now is a horrific scene. It's the scene when they are first operating on Doc Ock. And every time I see it, I think, damn, this just gives me the willies. It's so good. And it's so well done. And the way that it's shot is just Sam Raimi. It's Sam Raimi doing Evil Dead, Darkman, Drag Me to Hell. It's just that right kind of tone. It's a little tongue-in-cheek, but really horrific and loud. And I plead you to watch Spider-Man 2, especially with that scene in context, and you'll quickly realize that that's unlike anything you've ever seen in a superhero movie, and that's the type of fire that's missing from a lot of those movies as of recently. And when I say I think there needs to be an altruistic approach, I think Marvel needs to be a little bit more open to a vision that a director or writer can bring to the superhero genre. And clearly, superhero movies are here to stay. I don't see them dying down anytime soon. They're just going to keep on making it. It's going to be its own genre.
You know what I think would help a lot, in my opinion?
What?
Not that they need help financially or whatever, but in my film snob opinion of quality, dial way back on the CGI. There's way too much.
100% agree.
Way too much. Give us something real, like real breakaway glass, real cars crashing into each other. Yeah. I can't quite explain it, but the experience of watching computer-generated images. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's like 90% of what the film is. Yeah. There's a difference between that and watching people interact on real sets, like miniatures, or I don't know. It just seems a few, and I don't want to undersell what I'm sure is a tough job, but CGI just seems like a few keystrokes, and you got a movie. It takes some of the artistry out of filmmaking.
Yeah,
and there's a place for it too, though. I think.
And I realize in superhero films it may be hard to fully do a lot of the things they like to do real, but I think that just a little bit more, and and that's one of the reasons why I think the Avengers movies don't quite work. Now they are funny in places and they do have some fun scenes, but they are some of the most generic when it comes to superhero movies, of just being like the final scenes. It's just like everyone's doing everything. City falling over. It's just it's like the same thing in both of them. I think smaller scales would be a lot more interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's just me.
Yeah, and I also think it being put into a real situation where to act can be conducive to better performances than throwing your actors into this green room for chroma keying in the background, as opposed to actually having a location.
Now, and part of this where we have seen some success with that method is recently Logan. I liked Logan.
I never saw Logan.
I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think I needed to buy it. I didn't feel my time was wasted. I thought it was pretty good. Super low scale superhero movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Wolverine. He's older, a little more gruff. I thought it was a little bit more violent, had a little bit more language than it really honestly needed, which is funny. But it was basic, more grounded, and of course there was some computer graphics in there, but most of it, from what I remember, was not. And if it was, I didn't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
So that movie made a shit ton of money. And a lot of people love that movie. And compare that to another movie. You don't have to make it this huge, scale and huge computer generated film to make money. Hey, and that superhero movie was rated R, and it made a lot of money. And they're realizing with Logan and Deadpool that, oh, we can make money and people like movies if they're rated R. So they kind of push the envelope a little bit when it comes to violence as well too. So it's an interesting world. Hopefully it's turning a little bit more for the better when it comes to superhero films.
I hope so. Honestly, I think, granted, I didn't care for Dark Knight Rises. We have disagreements to some extent. You liked the ending, I didn't. But I think they had plans to bring the Joker back for the third one, and the Heath Ledger's death put them into a tailspin. On who knows? But the first two Christopher Nolan Batman movies, I thought were great.
Oh yeah.
The first one took a little long, I thought, to get to the meat of the story. It's like I'm your sensei. Yeah. Now you're going to train. It's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I still thought ultimately the plot was great, and the story. In the Dark Knight, my God, Heath Ledger, I think some might say that he got that Oscar because he died. I think
that'd be fucking wrong.
I think he could have gotten it even if he had lived, because that was a great performance.
I think that performance was probably one of the best performances ever. Honestly, I'm really thinking about it. But
the Marvel films haven't had a performance that good in any of their movies.
No, they haven't, and that's another thing they're missing, that kind of a chewy kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like a character you can really kind of. That's the thing, like. Bad guys are fun to root for when they're the bad guy. Who doesn't love a good bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think the fact that he died only made that part that was already so, crazy and good, just even a little bit more mystified. Like
it did the same thing for. It was the same case with Peter Finch in Network.
Oh yeah.
It's like way in the past now, so it faded a little bit from contemporary memory. But that was another like batshit performance. Some news anchor goes nuts and starts ranting on TV. Oh my God, it's about Alex Jones. But no, he.
I'm mad as hell.
Except there was logic behind his madness.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of, really good bad guys. You don't. God, Marvel's had some really lame bad guys in their movies. Doc Ock was awesome.
Well, that wasn't part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay, then what is? The guy from Captain America I loved. Red something.
Red Skull.
Yeah, I thought he was cool.
I liked, who the only one I really remember from the Marvel series.
What?
Well, this is ironic because I didn't like the movie. It was the guy from Iron Man 2 with the lightning whips.
Whiplash. Yeah.
Whiplash.
Yeah.
I thought he was kind of cool. But too bad he was in one of the shittier Marvel films.
Yeah, he was like Russian or something. Look at me.
It was that guy from The Wrestler, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke. I thought he was great. I haven't seen Rourke in anything in a while.
Yeah, he did some more facial reconstruction surgery.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, it looks quite a bit different. But I think that was kind of like the last time he was in a really big movie. He was in The Expendables, I think, the first one. But yeah, he had that comeback kind of with The Wrestler, which is a fantastic movie.
Loved The Wrestler.
And then it's usually that launching pad. They come back with a small movie. And then they become a really big actor. So Mickey Rourke did that with The Wrestler, and then he took the big role in Iron Man 2. Jeff Bridges come back with Crazy Heart, and then he took a really big role in like a big blockbuster, or big roles in blockbuster films. But Jeff Bridges still has a career though. But
Bridges came back with pretty well with that sheriff movie. Blinking on the name.
Hell or High Water.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Like, although Bridges, the other people were good in it, but I thought Bridges, he was so great. He carried that film on his back.
Oh yeah, I agree.
He usually does.
Probably one of his most human performances. I felt that role was like, that was a really down to earth role for him.
Oh yeah.
And yet he was still able to do his kind of Texas drawl, but it wasn't comic like at all.
It was his Rooster Cogburn, except the film didn't seem like it was unnecessary. And I say that as a Coen Brothers fan. I fancy myself one of the biggest Coen Brothers fans, but I never understood why they had to make that.
They've been accused of a misstep every now and then too.
I think everyone does a misstep. We made Chunk Thunder. Although if we ever had like a tenth of the career the Coen Brothers have had, we'd be more qualified to complain about any of these films. But
Chunk!
God, every day.
Don't look up that movie online.
I thought about taking it off of. I should have, because I put dual engines in my resume.
I just love how Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters saw it. Presumably,
he supposed. I don't know if it got to somewhere, if they like scrapped it, like after the first. Okay, this guy. This isn't going into the Ernie Hudson.
Don't ruin that for me.
Oh, okay.
I like knowing that Ernie Hudson was probably in his freaking house, and he probably was just sitting there, and he's like watching a shit ton of short films.
And he gets to us.
He's like, oh, Chunk Thunder, the quest for the Jade Pinata? Dual engines. I bet it's two fat guys. And then he starts watching it, and then open scene. Hey, oh. With the grass, and you turn around and go, oh! And he was probably like, oh, hell yeah, I'm gonna give me this movie. This movie's badass. I bet he was the only person that voted that movie through. And no one else did.
Oh, no. I have a different vision.
Yeah.
I have a different vision of what happened.
Of it?
My vision is he watched it, then he deleted it and cleared his internet history. And then the next day, someone says, he's like, I can't wait until Monuments Man comes out. And they're like, why? I heard that's going to be a piece of shit. He's like, I have seen shit that will turn you white.
Oh man, Monuments Man was a piece of shit movie too.
It was years away when Chunk Thunder came out, but I always have to take aim of that movie.
Wow.
It's the only one I've ever walked out of a theater. And keep in mind, Ben and I once sat through a movie where a guy with cerebral palsy has sex with women and then chokes them. And this is an advanced cerebral palsy where all of his limbs are stiff and he can't talk.
We didn't really know the plot of the movie when we saw it. We only went because it was a movie that was made by Crispin Glover, and we wanted to meet Crispin Glover, and we bought tickets, and we felt bad if we had walked out because we were going to do a meet and greet afterwards. Mm-hmm. But there was plenty of people that walked out in that movie.
They walked out in spades.
And we were sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
basically, the strangling was unrealistic because the guy he had such advanced cerebral palsy he couldn't bend his arms in that way that would necessitate strangling. So what he did was he took one arm, basically a woman in the movie who could have clearly gotten away easily is just standing there as the guy as he kind of like I don't want to be insensitive, but he basically kind of does the worm kind of towards her across the floor because that's the only way he can move. He's moving slowly across the room. It probably takes him like a minute to get from where he's at in the room to where his victim's at. And it's another thing like the tornado from Man of Steel or the steamroller.
But shit, I thought I remember like him strangling them when they were in bed after sex.
Whatever. It took him forever to get to them.
Yes,
because he has so little bodily movement. And he's like, and then they're like, no!
Yeah, that's
Sarah, this is my erotic fantasy.
Yeah.
No! And then, I'm not kidding. He puts one arm slowly, like over the over the shoulder of the girl, and kind of crosses it out in front of her. And then he takes the other arm and kind of makes a crucifix with his two arms, and that little triangle between where his arms meet and his body is where the girl's neck is. And he doesn't bring him down to where it would choke her. He kind of does that, and he brings his arms in a little bit, but she can still clearly breathe. But then the girl starts going, and then the girl dies. Is I killed another, and it was basically 2.5 hours of repeated of several women getting strangled to death by a severely disabled man in a manner I could never ever allow the suspension of disbelief to allow me to believe would be happening even in this world. It was like the least intimidating man on earth. If anything, the only thing that might make me believe this is if these women committed suicide by disabled men, and like it was like a Make-A-Wish gift where it was his wish.
Jesus Christ!
But it's the only way this movie could work, and it was to be honest, that was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. The only reason we didn't walk out is because we wanted to meet Crispin Glover. We didn't walk out of that, and we walked out of Monuments Men.
Wait, wasn't there a funny story Crispin Glover said?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, he said a lot of crazy ass things, but what was he said about that film? Like the guy had called him.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Because after the movie, he did like a little Q&A.
The guy is as strange and odd as you would expect, but he was also a sweetheart.
Yeah.
To talk to, which might surprise you given the plot of the film I just described.
And like how you know him to be. I mean, if anyone knows who Crispin Glover is.
George McFly.
Yeah, George fucking McFly. Willard. I mean, the dude's been in every Hot Tub Time Machine. He's a chainsaw wielding dude.
If you've ever seen the clip of him on David Letterman where he kicks his shoes off and nearly kicks Letterman in the face, that's basically about Crispin Glover. That's him. Maybe Crispin Glover after one too many Coca-Colas, but it's still Crispin Glover. Anyway,
it's great in Twin Peaks Firewalk with Me too. Completely forgot about that part.
Oh shit! We need to finish watching.
I meant Wild at Heart.
Oh yeah,
Wild at Heart. Oh, Heart.
Oh my.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Such a funny. I got it mixed up for a second, but
I forgot. That was so weird. And that's Glover.
Yeah.
No, but he was up on stage, and he was telling this story. This murder porn where a extremely disabled guy unrealistically murders a bunch of healthy women who would be able to get away from him in real life. This is apparently based on this dude's fantasies, and he wanted to make a film, and whatever. If you look up the poster for It's Fine, Everything is Fine, it's the creepiest fucking poster that I've ever seen in my life. But it's like him screaming in a wheelchair, screaming towards you, standing looking at the poster. In the background, there's a woman in underwear standing in a corner, and there's the shadow of a noose or something. It sounds cool, but it's creepy and uncomfortable. Yeah, but anyway, he was up on stage, and he was telling the story. They had shot this movie, and Crispin was busy on post-production with it, and the guy called Crispin Glover, and this is the way he told the story. Maybe not the exact words. It was like 6 years ago that we saw him, but basically, he got a phone call from this guy, and he's like, I want to attempt to do the accent, but he's like, "Hey, Crispin," and Crispin's like, "Hey," and I got news for you. I'm feeling a little suicidal. And Chris was like, "What? No! You have plenty to live for." I was like, "Well, I'm this severely disabled guy and life is depressing me. But I'm willing to continue on living if we have any more things to shoot in this movie, because I don't want to abandon you or the film. because I want to continue living, and I want the film to be the best it could be. So if you don't need me for the film anymore, I'm going to end my life. So, do you need me to be in any more scenes? And Chris is like, no, I think we got it covered. We got everything we need, buddy. Is like, oh, okay. And then, lo and behold, the guy kills himself. And then Crispin Glover goes on to say, I can't help but think that if I had only found another scene for him to shoot, that he might have lived.
Which is like the only time suicide's mildly funny.
It's not funny.
It's only funny because of how how brushed aside, or how no, we don't need you. The suicide's not funny.
No,
it's how ridiculously uncaring and non-sentimental was.
I don't think it was meaning to be that way, but he's in his head. He's like, a lot of things are going through your mind when you're trying to put a film together. And he was probably constantly thinking about that, and he wasn't thinking about what he was saying when he said, "Oh no, we don't need you, buddy."
Yeah.
I think we got what we need. And then the guy kills himself, and he's like, "Man, if I had only been thinking at the time, maybe he'd still be alive today, and I'll have to live with that."
Wow. But
it was a terrible film, and the point of that story was. We didn't walk out of that, but we walked out of Monuments Men. We were speaking about superhero movies earlier, and how they're done and oversaturating. And the ironic thing is, coming up soon, we're talking about shooting our own superhero film, although not a narrative. This is a documentary, and I'm looking forward to it.
That is true. It's something that we've had on the books for a few years now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully we'll finally get it together, and we're going to be documenting a real-life superhero.
A man by the name of Guardian Shield.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't remember him, he was in the news quite a bit a couple years ago. He was on shows from the news to Lars Larson to... and eventually we reach out and say, hey, do you want to be in a film? He's like, yes, indeed, super friend. Well, he didn't say that, but I like to imagine him talking like that.
We've actually shot a little bit with him, but we're definitely going to shoot some more, and we'll get a documentary together so that the world can see just what it's like to be a complex hero.
Exactly. And in terms of other films, finally getting closer to finishing Truffle Runners. Alan Burrell is getting closer to finishing his ADR.
Nice.
Myra's getting close, too. So, gotta find a way to meet up with the Shannon man and wrap that stuff up.
Yeah, and as far as any other things, right now, I think we're both pretty much feverishly writing several different shorts. Not quite sure what'll be next, but keep your eyes peeled on Dual Engines Productions website.
Dual Engines Production Company.
Dual Engines Production Company. I don't know my own company.
Although the intro says Dual Engines Productions, but I always prefer Dual Engines Production Company. Because it rolls off the tongue better. But I'm Jeff Crenshaw.
And I'm Ben Eastman.
And you're listening to Heavy Set Go.